What's going on, everybody? I'm working on my 2011 BMW 528i, the F10, and I'm replacing my starter. It's been a minute since I updated some videos. The car hasn't really been giving me any issues or anything like that, so I really haven't had the need to make any videos or go over anything that I have made or changed before, because I just didn't want to take anything apart and put it back. But I've been having some issues with my starter recently, so just been giving it time. Driving, and sometimes the car wouldn't start. I would knock on the starter, hit it. It's down there, in between this little hole right here, but straight down there. That's where the starter's located. I would try to knock it sometimes, and then the car would start. So I was just testing it, but today I had to go to work. Couldn't go to work because the car wouldn't start. So instead of taking it to the shop, having to pay maybe like $200 to $300 to get it fixed, and then having to Uber back and forth home for like another $50 to $60 total, it's not worth it. I know how to do the job, so it's like I'm gonna just go ahead and replace it, put everything back together, and yeah. So I also made a few videos fixing a couple things on the car and stuff like that, so I'm gonna be uploading a bunch more content and everything like that, just replacing various things on the F10. So definitely drop a subscribe, because you're gonna want to stay updated to some of the things that I do. So let's get into it. First thing you want to do when replacing the starter or really working on anything electrical with your car is unplug the battery or disconnect the battery. You're going to need a 10mm socket to take out the bolt right there, and then cover the negative terminal with the towel and just leave it to the side. But yeah, the first thing I took out was the air box. It's pretty difficult. You got to tug it out a little bit. It's easy, but with the bolts, but difficult to tug out. And the second thing you want to do is this. Take out this second connector. And then you can take off this one with the ring, but I found that it was a little difficult pulling off the plastic, so you don't want to like mess it up or tamper it. So I just went ahead and wiggled around the throttle body and took off these bolts right here, 10mm as well. And the plastics are just held by clamps, so you can use a Phillips screwdriver for that. So it was pretty simple to get all that off. And now, mind you, I'm working on a 528 2011, so it's an inline 6. It's not a 4-cylinder, no turbo. So it's, I believe, an N52 engine. So now I'm taking off the DME, and you're gonna need a T30. So you're gonna want to take off 6 bolts. Boom, boom, boom. After you disconnect everything, and this is after you've taken off the airbox and throttle body. So you're gonna want to disconnect the DME. So I have 6 more bolts I need to take off. Take this one off. You also have this railing up here. All this that you're gonna want to disconnect, but you need it's a bolt that goes down in here, which is a T27. So that's a specific kind of bolt. I actually had something specific for that. I took that off first just to make sure I can get it off. Let me see if I can find. This is the bolt, and then you have, yeah, this is the 27. So those are what you need. This isn't even a 27, but I somehow made it work. I don't want to strip it, but it's a little undersized, but I was able to get it out. So yeah, I'm gonna take off the DME, and then I'm gonna give an update. After that, I'm gonna start removing the intake, and then I should be able to reach the starter from there. So I'll give an update once I'm done. Yes, sir. All right, we back, and got the DME, all the 6 bolts taken out. Now you just lift this thing up. Yes, sir. Now we got that off. Probably take off this little cap right here. Not cap, but like take off that little railing and stuff like that, and then go ahead and get the intake off. It's 6 bolts, one right there, one right there. You got another one up there, and then there's a couple more. It's a couple more hiding. One in there, and then another one back there. But I'm gonna take that intake off and give another update. Let's get it. All right, everybody. So I'm in the engine bay sitting on the chassis in the hood, and I took off 3 bolts. So one bolt goes here, another one is there, and there's another hard one in the back. And then there's also 3 nuts that you have to take off. I thought they were all gonna be bolts, but you have one difficult one right there, one right here, and one right there. So that's all 3. Oh yeah, and as well, the nuts or the bolts also have washers in them, so you want to be careful when you take those out. So now the air intake should be pretty loose. I'm gonna have to like pull it off. So I'm gonna need to step out the car or step out the bay and give it a good pull and try to get this thing loose. So yeah, I'm gonna get it loose and I'll be right back with the update. Everybody, back here I got the intake manifold taken off. It's actually starting to get a little dark out because it's raining, but I didn't get the intake manifold off completely. It's some things that you got to do that other videos didn't specify that I watched, or didn't give a couple steps. They just told like what bolts and just some general stuff. But one thing that you're going to want to have to remove is the fuel line, which is right here. And you just, it's like I got it covered, but it's like a mechanism where you push and then pull out, and it'll come out, but you have to have a rag there because just a little bit of fuel is going to come out. So you want to have that covered. And then you're going to want to disconnect it with there's 3 bolts. The Torx 27, and you're going to want to disconnect all 3 to get this off. And then you're going to want to get the fuel line removed because it's holding down the intake manifold. And then your PVC line or your oil separator, you're going to disconnect it from the inside, but you're also going to disconnect it from the back of the valve cover, so you can see that it swerves all the way to the back of the valve cover. You're going to want to take that off. And then you have this thing right here that's it's like your cables or whatever, goes to the DME and a couple other things. I seen a video of somebody like taking this off by itself, but I didn't know how to disconnect, and I ain't got time to try to figure that out. So there are 2 Torx 30 bolts that you take one off right here, and you take another one off on the other side, and then it gives you the mobility to take off the rest of the intake manifold, except that it's still connected by 1 or 2 lines. So although you got the whole thing off, there's still some lines connected to the manifold, so you're gonna want to twist it this way and have it sitting, yeah, horizontally, vertically from you, but horizontally when you're standing in front of the car, and that way you'll have access to the starter. Just got to move a few things out the way, but the starter's right here to the power line. Now remember, you're gonna want to make sure you have make sure that the battery is disconnected when you're gonna attempt this. So then you just move the PVC out the way. Going on to disconnect this, take off the power line, and then there should be 2 bolts, 2 screws, one in the back. Oh man, let me see. One right here, right there where my finger's pointing, and then there's gonna be one facing us. Oh, there it is, right there. I hope I have the bolts to get those off. But yeah, so gonna do this and get right back to it. All right, you guys, so it's a little dark out here, but I was able to get to the bolts that were holding in the starter, and they are actually star bolts. I don't know the particular name of them. Let me find it. So this is one that was in the back, and then there's another short one that's in the front. And these bolts can be taken out with the 12 millimeter, but you kind of don't want to use a 12 millimeter just for the fact that it might get stuck onto the bolt. You don't want to use 12 millimeter sockets because they might get stuck onto the bolt, excuse me. But I was able to get them off. And then there's also a nut that's on here that you have to take off, 13 millimeter, and then you can disconnect the power cable, and then you can take out the starter. So I'm about to take out this starter and put the new one in. All right, everybody. All right. So I got the old starter right here. Pretty dirty, nasty. And then I got the new starter already set in place right there. I just gotta put the bolts in. One right there at the bottom where my finger is, and then another one is gonna be on the opposite side, coming back on the inside bag up top where my finger is. So, yep, now it's the reverse process. I'm like on, and yeah, let's get to it.